Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimirannasya Jnananjana Shalaka Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna and good morning, good afternoon. We are continuing studying Dhruva Maharaj's lessons, realizations, as Manu is explaining certain concepts of karma. And it was shocking for Dhruva Maharaj when Manu said, what if your brother Uttama is born as a yaksha? And Dhruva Maharaj was just completely swept off his feet with that possibility. And that also kind of shook us all, thinking of certain concepts, even as devotees we might have, that might bring us back into another material body to learn certain lessons. So the solution Manu is giving here is very, very gently, very affectionately. Manu is telling Dhruva Maharaj, the solution is Krishna. The solution is not to think, look at the war that's happening. Just all because, yesterday I watched one video. The Iraqi people captured 2 little kids of the quote-unquote enemy team, and they were torturing the 2 kids and harassing them. And I was just thinking, what if those kids are your own sister's children or your own children? So what is this whole misidentification with the body? This war that's happening right now is Iraq and Palestine is the example of wrong misidentification with the bodily concept of life, which is completely something you can say little. Dhruva Maharaj is a little bit in that mood. Kill all the yakshas because one yaksha killed my brother. So he wanted to kill all the yakshas. So it's like people are like, oh, kill all the Swedish people. Everybody is bad because they burned Quran. So there's so much tamas guna. Even religion can become a source of violence if we perform religion in the mode of tamas. And Manu is gently telling him that all these illusory concepts will become fixed if we take shelter of Krishna. And continuously in the association of devotees, when we hear about Krishna, learning, like now Manu is teaching Dhruva, and Dhruva is learning from Manu, then Manu says this acts like a medicine that cures the spiritual disease known as bodily conception. Once free from this malice, you will never again be equal. Sorry, and you will never be controlled by anger. So the anger is the cause of all this fights and violence, and I've been journaling about it, that I also have certain internal anger, irritability about people, certain things. But if we take time to just reflect on Manu's teachings, look at Dhruva Maharaj, look at his fire of revenge that he wants to take against the yakshas, then how it gets cooled and calmed down. Similarly, whatever situation we are going through, anger is not the solution. And please, Manu is saying, please follow this instruction and you will attain all good fortune in your life. So I wish we can follow, right? What is that instruction? This is that instruction. My dear king, continuously hear truths, Hear the truths about Krishna as you are now hearing them from me. This acts like a medicine that cures the spiritual disease known as bodily conception. Once free from this malaise, you will never again be controlled by anger. Please follow this instruction and you attain all good fortune. And he says, he understands Dhruva's nature. In the meantime, if you still feel angry, do not act on it. An angry person strikes fear in the others' hearts. As a result, he cannot attain Krishna's mercy and achieve liberation from the bodily concept of life. Wow, it's a powerful statement about anger. Importance of controlling our anger. Okay. Anybody likes to continue from here? There is one other thing you should know. Who likes to read the one other thing?
There is one other thing you should know. By killing the yakshas, thinking them to be your brother's killers, you have offended Lord Shiva's brother Kubera. I advise that you immediately pacify him with gentle words and prayers. He's a great personality and it's not advisable to create enmity between him and our family. Dhruva touched Manu's feet. I shall do as you say, my lord. Manu raised a hand in blessing. Dhruva had clearly regained his composure. There was no further needed for him to remain. He boarded his chariot and departed along with the celestial sages who had accompanied him.
Okay, we'll pause there. So finally, Dhruva regained his composure. Sometimes we are powerless. We cannot do anything about our bad habit or about our anger, but we know that Krishna can do something. So we take shelter of Krishna, we hand over our burden, and then we let the Lord take control. Okay, Mataji Pallavi, please start chapter 12. Unless somebody has a comment or a question, let's give a moment. Okay, please continue, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. After ruling the earth for many years, Dhruva retires to the forest from where the messengers of Vishnu take him to the spiritual planet known as Dhruva Loka. After narrating this, Maitreya describes the benefits of hearing this account. Dhruva watched Manu and the sages depart through the celestial airways. Oh, I think I missed something before.
His great-grandfather's instructions
had filled him with deep sense of calm. Seeing that Dhruva had put down his weapons, a few bedraggled yakshas came out of their hiding place and tended to the wounded. Dhruva drove up to them. Place the injured yakshas on the chariot. I will take them to your city. Word reached the yaksha.
He only attacked them and now he's on.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was like. Words reached the yaksha king Kubera that Dhruva had given up his hostility. As he was assisting the yakshas, Dhruva heard sounds of drums, cymbals, and trumpets reverberating across the field. He looked up to see the colorful procession of the yakshas, channaras, and the kinnaras. Some were playing musical instruments, others carried on ornate palanquin, others fanned the palanquin with yak tail whisks, others danced and all sang. Praise to our king, the treasure of heaven. Glories to King Kubera. Dhruva came forward with folded hands to greet the youthful-looking Kubera. The god descended from his palanquin. He was strikingly handsome and effulgent. Blackish locks of hair framed his smiling face. He swore, what was it? He wore fine silk clothes of blue and gold and was adorned with priceless ornaments that shone brilliantly. He raised a hand in blessing. O sinless warrior, I am delighted to know that instructed by your great-grandfather, you have given up your enmity. It is hard to let go of hatred and anger, so I am very pleased with you. Dhruva blushed. Kubera had no reason to be so kind towards him after he had needlessly slaughtered so many of the Yaksha king's citizens. Dhruva began to apologize.
Okay, let's
Kubera
pause.
put a hand to stop. Sorry.
Yeah. So, no. So, Dhruva blushed. Kubera had no reason to be kind toward him, right? That's so true. Actually, I am so touched by Dhruva's humility here. Yes, yes, please go ahead, Snehavati Mataji.
Like I was just amazed, here like generally people are ready that okay, now you have come to your senses, now you will come to me, I'll scold you left and right. But here like Kubera was already like making him pacified, no? It's like so different what we see in the world. I was just amazed to see it.
They're wise souls, right? They're wise because
Yes.
first of all, for Dhruva, so powerful, right? He could have continued killing the yakshas, but he didn't. So he humbled himself. It's a great thing. And Kubera, being very intelligent, recognizes that. So same thing when some say our own siblings or our parents or sometimes other senior devotees may come to us for some advice or take some sort of shelter, and we see that they're not perfectly situated. Usually our tendency is to correct them or like that, but we should be patient and say, look, this person is an adult. They're approaching me. They could be doing anything, but somehow they're here. So we should respect the fact that they are taking shelter, that we should respect the fact that they are approaching us. And like Kubera is doing here, right? Let's see what else Kubera does. Okay, Mataji, you want to continue, Kubera? Kubera put up a hand to stop him.
Where is Kubera? Stop him. Actually, you have not killed the yakshas, nor did they kill your brother. The Supreme Lord is the ultimate cause of generation and annihilation in his features as eternal time.
Okay, let's pause there.
Yes,
let's pause there. See, this is our lesson, to understand that it's not other people who cause us trouble. It's not that the other person feeling certain ways our fault. Ultimately, it's Krishna's hand behind everything. In the recent days, I was forbidden from taking flowers, fresh flowers where I used to. So my garland making service was interrupted. And I was feeling so bad. Like 10 days ago, I was almost like depressed, half depressed. And then next day morning, I was off the altar. I wasn't clean, so I didn't do any service for those 2-3 days. And then I watched Darshanarti, and Radha Madhava were wearing something I'd made them weeks ago. Something. And then it was like Madhava directly telling me, my dear child, you don't have to cry over the fact that you can't get that particular fresh flowers. I want you to make these kind of turban pieces and something I had made, which was not fresh flowers. Radha Madhava were proudly, gorgeously, elegantly wearing it that day to tell me, hey, I want you to do this. And then since 10 days now, I've switched from fresh flowers because I don't have access to them. And then I started making other things which are not fresh, right? Like beads and with mukut pieces and things. And I'm still upset with the person that stopped me from flowers, but that's ego. Because if I see it like this, actually, it's not the other person who is preventing you. It's Krishna telling you that he likes more the other service that you're making. He likes that particular service. So it's actually a way Krishna is trying to inspire me to do something according to his will. My will may be, oh, I want this only, I want fresh flowers to do this. It's right here next to my house. Why I shouldn't take it? All those logic I might have. But to be able to see it that way needs humility. As I'm reading this, it's like, sometimes things happen in our life and then the readings are exactly what I need. Now I'm thinking, why should I go and apologize? Because that person who forbid me from taking flowers, they're not talking to me. They are in their own modes. They have this mode. So now I'm reading this and I'm thinking, probably I should go and apologize, or I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm thinking now maybe I'm supposed to apologize because this reading is coming up. And that would be like a hit for my ego, because the truth is I don't need that person or the permission anymore, because my service now got upgraded in one sense. But still, there is this inspiration coming from Srimad Bhagavatam that there's no shame in apologizing. There's no shame in taking a humble position. As long as internally I can see Krishna's hand, he is the cause. He's the ultimate cause of this thing. It's, like how we can apply these things in our own lives. I'm preparing myself. I'm going to pray. By the way, I actually made some jewelry for the deities of this person, because the person has helped a lot, helping. They're very good with flowers and all in my garden, all the flower plants and all. They only help me to put it. I'm grateful, in many, many ways. But this one thing is the ego, right? In me is like, I also don't want to talk, because they stop me from doing this particular service to Radha Madhava. But Radha Madhava is saying, no, your service to me is not dependent on one person or one garden or one flower plant. It's beyond. And for teaching me that, I need to be grateful to this Mataji. So I actually made some pieces of jewelry like for their deities. But I haven't it's already sitting there for 2-3 days, but I haven't given it to them because ego, and maybe some fear of rejection. And I don't know, maybe they'll give me a lecture like what Snehavati was saying. I don't know if that person will be as graceful as Kubera. Maybe they will say something like, they'll preach to me. I should be open for that. So, I'm preparing my mind in that way, like what Krishna wants. So not to speculate, not to put my ego in the center, but just to do it. And then, there's all this thing. If I go and apologize, then she's going to think that I want my way back in into the flowers. There's all this, how the human mind works. Speculation of why I shouldn't apologize or something. Yeah, this is very eternal time. And I can see it internally. I can see that it was Krishna's arrangement. Because, when I make mukut pieces, they use it again and again. It'll stay in the closet, and they used already something I made weeks ago. They used it already a few times, and I made something else, and immediately they used it for Mangalarti. So again and again they use it. So it's like, it is an upgrade in one sense, right? Like, it's so sweet how Madhava is reciprocating. Still there is some, I need to shake it off, and this reading is helping, because if Dhruva could do it, why can't Shri Radha Govinda do it? Why can't I give up that thing of, oh, why don't you be more understanding or something? And one thing is, Dhruva is not expecting the brother to come back, or in some cases, right? They want the dead back alive, and Dhruva is very realistic in that sense. Please continue, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Dhruva lowered his eyes. What a difference between Kubera and himself. How foolish he had been. Kubera saw the remorse in Dhruva's expression and smiled. I do not blame you. Rather, I commend you for shaking off the ignorance which momentarily clouded your intelligence. Wow, no judgment. Only when we forget that everyone is eternally related to the Supreme Lord do we fall prey to the bodily concept of life. As long as we remain under the illusion, we are forced to continually rotate in the cycle of birth and death, accepting one material body after another. Dhruva bowed his head.
Wow, this is nice. No, I commend you shaking off the ignorance momentarily clouded your intelligence. So if somebody comes to us, some of our sibling or somebody comes, they're not very well situated, and instead of chastising them, why are you doing this nonsense? You could just say, look, I understand it was tough for you to come and talk to me. I really appreciate that you want to overcome this. You want to work on this. It's so intelligent of you. Like that, we should support them, praise them, and get them in our, they should trust us. Then slowly, we have, see, that's why it's not, that's the difference between devatas and demons. Devatas are always like, oh, it's Krishna's cause, Krishna is the cause. They're not so agitated unless like Hiranyakashipu's tapasya disturbs their seats or something. They're not so disturbed, but the demons immediately become angry and then they want to fight. Very, very, very different mentalities here. That's the difference between devatas and rakshasas. I mean, this is not, don't take it literally, okay? There is an astrology, Manushya Gana, Deva Gana, Rakshasa Gana. So we all belong to either of the three. We are either Manushya Gana, Rakshasa Gana, or Deva Gana. So when somebody is of Deva Gana, these individuals, like I know my husband is Deva Gana, like these people are very, they have a little bit of what we call in this world superiority complex. They don't easily get like agitated, or they already feel superior. And if somebody else treats them a little bit with disrespect, they, you know, my husband always will say, it's their loss. He'll never feel bad or he'll not take it personally. Even if they ban him from a country, he'll just say, it's their loss. And he really means it. So Devagana people have a sense of self-confidence, which is very, very like strongly situated in self. Sometimes it can turn into pride. That's a different topic. But then there are the Rakshasgan people. Rakshasgan people are a little bit more easily triggered by insecurity. Somebody can easily insult them, can make them feel challenged, and they can be very competitive like that. And Manushyagan people are very cautious. They play very cautiously the game of life. They don't easily make enemies, and they don't make, I mean, they trust friends very carefully. And Rakshasgan people can be a little bit impulsive. By the way, as I said, don't take it literally, like it's not Rakshas in the sense of demoniac, but it's a tendency. Like, for example, in a spiritual realm, Srimati Radharani is Rakshasgan. Her nakshatra is Vishaka nakshatra, which is Rakshasgan category of thing. So Rakshasgan people are very, when they give something, they give 100%. They love 100%. They give themselves 100%, like that. And they're very like passionate in one sense. And Krishna is the Manushyagan. He always played very carefully diplomatic. Diplomacy is the key of that. Anyway, so Devagan, Manushyagan, Rakshasagan, these are categories that kind of show our psychological mindset. But the Devgan, I have noticed that Devgan people look down upon everybody. And if somebody does something wrong, they'll not feel threatened. They will just think, oh, okay, these people don't know how to behave and they're low class. they will never feel themselves low. And so, yeah, Rakshasagan people are a little bit more competitive. And immediately if something gets shown, there's a trigger. There's like a trigger, like, I also need to do this. And there's a challenging spirit. Like Dhruva Maharaj is like the Rakshasgan category, not typical Rakshasgan category, who immediately wanted to react. He wanted to go away to the forest, and then he wanted to now kill all the yakshas and like that. And Arjuna is Purva Phalguni Nakshatra. He was Manushyagan category. Oh, careful, cautious. Of course, there are times that he was also fighting and all, but the point was he wasn't having superiority because he had, a lot of insecurity in the beginning of Mahabharata war. Then like that, there are different, each personality has Rakshasgan or Devgan categories even in the characters. So Devgan are very secure in themselves. They never ever feel inferior, insecure, because they're so strongly situated in their security. So this is what we're seeing in Kubera here. Very strong sense of Devgan, like, I know who I am. I'm not going to get offended that you killed the yakshas. Okay, that was your bad. It's like almost Kubera is saying, well, you're bad that you are in ignorance for a moment, but good for you that you are now established in intelligence. That's Devgan. I've seen that. Yeah.
Mataji, I just wanted to ask you a question in this context. So again, this is it's something I'm relating to a situation I just recently happened about a couple of weeks ago. And I wanted to understand it because first thing when I was reading that sentence, right? Yeah, the judgmental was not there. But then again, when I reread the sentence while you are explaining, it really struck the chord with my own situation. And I'm like, oh my God, why did I not act, or at least commend that person for that? So basically, I just giving you a little bit scenario just to understand. And, and I want to really get to that point. So there was this one devotee that, we supported in his pain and, the loss of his child a couple of years ago. And then it was a good time, about 2 years, we supported. And actually, there were certain boundaries that I didn't set. And, I take responsibility of that. And it so happened that this devotee became very critical towards me, abusive in the sense he would just yell at me. He would just say things right in front of my husband. And my husband wouldn't he would try to explain, but he wouldn't get it. And then he would come back and apologize and repeat it again. And if there were times that me and my husband and I'm sharing something, he would just yell and he would try to, be between me and my husband as if, he's supporting my husband and he's like the protector of my husband and I'm the villain, those kind of things. So at one time I had to just put my foot down and I said, you know what, I'm sorry that I do not want you to speak. Let me and my husband figure things out. So this happened, and then that actually did not go well with him. So, he was starting being critical. So I expressed it very politely. I said, Prabhu, I'm really sorry that, I just wanted to address that. I do not, these are my struggles. So I would appreciate that you give us some space that we figure it out. And this went on for a year. And then there were times that he said really mean things about me to my husband. And then I developed a lot of insecurity and fear. And I had to I told my husband, you know what, this is becoming really toxic for me. This is a third party and I cannot. And it so happened that he got to my in-laws and then they have, and there was a lot of chaos that's been happening. So there are times he supports, there are times that he goes against. And he does it in front of my husband when me and my husband are trying to figure out certain areas that we are finding it challenging. And he would just
maybe you want to just come to a conclusion.
Yeah. So what I'm trying, this devotee sends a message to my Prabhu saying, I apologize for the ego and the pride. I apologize to you or Mataji. And at that point, I felt I just wanted to pay dandavats and not respond anything. And he didn't send it to me. He sent it to my Prabhu. So what I'm trying to understand is my husband felt that I should respond to him. And when this commend the shaking of, commend his thing for taking that position of at least apologizing. Should I have done that? Or should I be still, my stand is at distance, pay my obeisances and be at a safe distance?
Well, if you're not clear, don't act. If it was me, I wouldn't say anything. As you said, pay obeisances from distance and Haribol.
Okay, because this one thing was I was stuck, this is humility, but then what I'm doing is so okay, I get it. I wanted clarity. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, sometimes we're not clear whether to apologize or not. Like me, I'm not clear. I didn't do anything. That person forbid me. But then I know that deep inside I had some resentment that person didn't allow me and whatever. For my own purification, I'm going to do that. So unless clarity comes, I didn't act all these days. I was just taking the time, asking the Lord for clarity, for the strength. We can't do it also when we're not ready or we are in an artificial position. Then they may say something that will trigger us, then it may go off the handle. So if we are not ready, better to take the time until we are clear. And pray about it always.
Sure, thank you.
Pray. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes.
I have seen sometimes also even though it may not be applicable to the Mataji's situation, I'm just saying in general. Sometimes when we see that the other person who has done, so much, who does in so much difficult situations, sometimes it seems to us that they are coming and apologizing from their side, but they may not be clear in their heart about us also. So when we go and accept that apology in the way they want, and we try to make the situation better, they may again take advantage. So we have to be a little bit careful. It is just
Yes.
coming from my experiences, because sometimes Krishna understands, right, that I am really accepting the apology of the other person. I have no grudge or nothing bad about him or her. So, but it's for our own safety also. Sometimes it's good that we don't go and approach.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because they may take advantage again. Just so.
Yeah,
wanted to
when we know
share.
the pattern of somebody, right? When we know somebody's pattern, and we, sometimes also there's no compatibility between certain people. With some people, we just don't have compatibility. So that's never going to be. So sometimes we just kind of stay away. But the thing is, like, to be able to, like, I have one very toxic relationship that's ending, and I'm trying to not have resentment, to be forgiving, but at the same time try to see that, look, for my own safety, I need to stay away. So there's a balance. The point is, resentment only weighs our soul down. So we don't resent because, why do we need that? Better Krishna prema than resentment. So we work on internally not having resentment towards people. Every day we should supposed to work on that. Yeah. Maybe we can finish this part. Dhruva bowed his head. This part.
Yes.
Mataji,
Yes.
Dhruva
Dhruva
bowed
bowed his head. What precaution can I take to avoid such ignorance in future?
Here we go.
Kubera held out his arms. My dear Dhruva, come forward. Dhruva stepped closer to God, who embraced him and then held him by the shoulders at arm length. May Narayana always grace you with good fortune, Dhruva. Continue to worship the Lord's transcendental form. He is the ultimate shelter of all living entities. Although not visible to material eyes, he resides in everyone's heart as the super soul. On that basis, remember the equality of all living beings. Only Narayan can deliver us from material entanglement. The material energy is one of Krishna's potencies. Just as heat and light are potencies of the fire, it is thus not different from the Lord and is responsible for everything that happens in this world. However, Krishna is always detached from material affairs. The only way to become free of material energy's control is to absorb yourself in Krishna's devotional service.
That's our solution. Okay, you can finish this page.
Sorry. Kubera folded his palms. My dear Dhruva, I've heard that you are Krishna's pure devotee. You are therefore worthy of receiving all benedictions. Ask from me whatever you desire. Dhruva lifted his eyebrows. Kubera was the treasurer of gods. He could give him unimaginable riches. How though could he accept anything material from God? Vishnu had already offered him whatever he desired. But after seeing the Lord, he wanted nothing other than his devotional service, to which for anything else was simply foolish.
Wow, this is so sweet. No? Kubera is now saying, okay, here, I heard that you're Krishna's pure devotee. See, Kubera is not, again, not judging and not doubting. Hey, how can a pure devotee behave like this? Right? He's not. He's like, pure devotee, moment of weakness. So what? So what benediction do you want from me? Wow, this is how we should imbibe Krishna consciousness. That's why Krishna always favors the demigods and not the demons, because demigods have this ability to forgive, and because they are superior. Like Dhruva, Kubera has blessings to give Dhruva. So sweet, very sweet. Okay, we'll stop there for today. So
Mataji, this point is very nice. That Kubera folded his hand and said that you are a pure devotee of Lord. That's made him like humble in the sense that he knows that he's a devotee of Lord. So that makes him the Kubera like more, humble attitude towards Dhruva, because he knows that he's a pure devotee of Lord.
True. True. I mean, everybody is having some or another purity in each of us, right? If we can only see everybody's trying to serve Krishna, and if I recognize that aspect in others, that's what Kubera did. He didn't focus on the defect of Dhruva. He focused on the purity of Dhruva. So we can also do that. We may have the opposite, like in our people in our life who give us a hard time. They may have only 2% purity and 98% impurity. But still, it's up to us which one we'll focus on. We usually say, hey, this person is not pure devotee. Why I should treat them?
We don't know who will get the benediction and who will get the causeless mercy of Lord.
We don't know who is who. We don't know who this person could be. Some great devotee, right? We don't know. They may look externally something, but internally they may actually be pure devotees. Something happened in Melkote, in South Indian Narasimha temple. It's a self-manifested deity. After Prahlad Maharaj went, after Hiranyakashipu was killed, he went to this place and he performed tapasya. And Nrsimhadev appeared to him in the Shaligram, became big Nrsimha form. So in this place, recently, like a year ago, there was theft. Some thieves hid themselves in the temple, and when the pujaris left, they broke the door open from inside. It's on the hill, so it's quite difficult to get access. But somehow these thieves managed. They took away all the silver and gold and copper, like different expensive items, pots and jewelry of Nrsimhadev. Then they later on found the jeweler who had taken he took that from the thieves. He melted those pots and jewelry, and then he got caught by the police. Then the guy actually redid those jewels in the same way, but then the government said no, they are not matching exactly. So the jeweler got to keep the jewelry. Okay, the thieves, they got their money because they sold the jewelry to the jeweler. And then at the end, when I was speaking with one of the head pujaris, and I said, don't you feel angry with the government that they didn't get that, at least that they found it, they found the exact metal, but the government said, no, it's not looking the same, so they didn't accept. And then the pujari just smiled. His name is Tirumala, the pujari, main pujari of Nrsimhadev. And then he smiled at me and he looked at me and he said, even that thief is a devotee of Narasimha. He was, in need, and Narasimhadev made that project of his successful. He got his money, and then the jeweler also, he needed maybe. Even the jeweler is a Narasimhadev devotee only, so the jeweler also got to keep his thing. Then he said, and as far as for us, we are concerned with serving Narasimhadev, and we know that he will arrange for himself whatever jewelry, whatever, it'll come. And, we don't have to fuss over it. And the way he told me, that guy came in, right? He came up the hill, he came to see Narasimha, that thief. So he also must have prayed. He said that, and it just completely changed my perspective about being a devotee. He said, that guy must have come up the hill, prayed to Narasimhadev to help him succeed in the project. So all I can see in this whole episode is that Narasimhadev gave the benediction to that thief. So I was like, this is far out, far out. So when somebody wins, and we say, Krishna must have wanted that person to win. No, that is to have that faith of Akilanda Koti Brahmanda.
Mataji, you lost in between.
Yeah, I was saying Krishna, he's the Akilanda Koti Brahmanda Nayaka, right? Prema Pallavi Mataji. In that song, Sri Venkatesha song, that it comes, Akilanda Koti Brahmanda Nayaka. So that's Krishna. For him, what it is to tell, maybe the thief, the pujari was telling me, that thief must have prayed with great sincerity. He must have prayed with great sincerity. That's why he didn't get caught and he didn't have to pay anything. So he said, everything remains among Narasimha devotees only. He was saying, I'm also having to think that way. Anyway, everything remains in the service of Radha Madhava only. The flowers, whether I pick it, or this lady picks it, or some other Prabhu picks it, it'll all go for service of Radha Madhava, and I should just be happy for that. That's the mood of a servant. We're focused on the Lord, not on our ego. Oh my God, as I'm saying this, I'm feeling embarrassed because I'm trying to be in that mood. I'm not necessarily in that mood. But let's pray at the lotus feet of Shri Shri Radha Madhava to give us the ability to be like his dear devotees. Like Kubera is a nice devotee. He could see the hand of the Lord. So similarly, in all our life circumstances, let us see the hand of the Lord. And may Lord Narasimhadev give us the strength to act according to his will. Because without the strength of the Lord, we cannot on our own act in pleasing ways to the Lord's pleasure. So may we give up our false ego and just like Dhruva Maharaj, learn to become humble when the time is right, and surrender ourselves to the will of the Lord and humble ourselves. That humility is very precious. So that we will end Bhagavatam. And is Rasastali Mataji, are you ready for affirmation, japa affirmation?
Yes. When I chant, I chant. Although this affirmation sounds simplistic, it is actually quite profound. When we chant, we often are disconnected from the holy name, being either externally or internally distracted from our chanting. When I chant encompasses the principle behind everything I teach in the Japa workshop. When we chant, our whole world should be put on hold. It must be about us and Krishna and nothing else. Sometimes I joke that the 11th offense is to have our cell phone on when we are chanting. In other words, when we chant, we shouldn't be doing anything else. We should not be on our computer, reading a book, or doing this or that. We should just be with the holy name. Once we clear all external distractions, we must also internally stop thinking about doing anything else. Some devotees say that when they chant, they give their time totally to the holy name, free of all external distractions. They chant in a quiet place. We call this chanting in our sacred space. But when asked if they have also created an internal sacred space, often the answer is no. When I chant means not only creating the external space, but more importantly, creating the internal environment in which we don't allow ourselves to be distracted. We could also say, when I study, or when I work, because it is the same principle. For example, I have been I have seen people become so absorbed in reading their newspaper that they become oblivious to everything around them. We should be this way with our japa. When we chant, we want to be completely given over to our japa and not to anything else, either externally or internally. Hare Krishna.
Wow, beautiful. When we chant, we chant. When we study Bhagavatam, we study Bhagavatam. Thank you. That's mindfulness to the perfection. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki. Thank you.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna. Thank you.